Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing with you 7 mistakes to know and avoid for the new school year. I've compiled this list based on my previous experiences, as well as aspects I am continuing to work towards this upcoming semester. I hope you guys find this video helpful, and comment down below your favorite part of the entire back to school process, and let's get started with this video. On top of my list is definitely not reflecting on the previous school year and making the same mistakes again. This one is very general and can be applied to anything from planning, note-taking system to your study methods. Oftentimes, we tend to feel relieved when the previous school year ends and super excited for the new fresh start when the next arrives. However, because we are so fixated on the idea of a fresh start, we tend to forget to evaluate and reflect on the lessons we learned from the past. And as a result of that, we end up making the same mistakes. For example, in the previous school year, you found that simply writing and rereading your notes for biology did not help you understand or memorize the concepts for your exams. Then moving into the new school year, you should explore and try new study strategies. In the past, while I had acknowledged that certain study strategies were not effective, yet moving into the new school year, I always discounted it for other factors such as procrastination or simply not dedicating enough time to study. And as a result, I continue to use the same study strategies, and of course, old ways don't open new doors. In addition, when you do try out these new study methods, just keep in mind that it may not show in your test results immediately, which is why I recommend that you take on a free summer course online to test out and find out which study strategies work best for what subjects. As I've mentioned before, this study tip can be applied to anything and everything. It just requires you to sit down, reflect on your previous semester, and think of ways to work around your mistake. Moving on to the second mistake is purchasing an excess amount of stationery and school supplies. Now, I know this might be a bit surprising coming from me, since a majority of my channel is based around aesthetic notes and stationery. However, especially since entering university, I've really come to realize how insignificant these things are and the value of effectiveness over aesthetics. For example, in my first year, aside from using my iPad and MacBook, the only stationery items I really used were the black, red, and blue Muji 0.38mm gel pens, which are my absolute favorites, and I actually also went back to use up various notebooks that I had left empty from high school. For some reason in the past, if I had messed up a minor detail on one page, I would never look or touch that notebook again, but good thing I did end up using a good amount of them for doing chemistry practice problems in my first year. So my advice would be to make a list of the items you're interested in purchasing, and next to it, the purpose and the use of the item. This way, you avoid buying an excess of stationery items or purchasing just for the aesthetics, and you end up saving a lot of money for it. And if you're entering a new stage of your life, such as becoming a freshman in high school or university, it may also help to wait until the first week of classes is over to determine what you really need in terms of stationery items. The third mistake is falling into the mindset of, I can always make up for this later on. By this, I mean not taking your exams or assignments seriously early on during the semester and using the excuse that I can just make up for it with my final exam. First of all, I realized this is absolutely not the case in university, since you barely get a total of 3 exams, usually 2 midterms and a final for a single course, and they're each worth a decent amount that if you do poorly on one, you would not be able to make up for it at a later time and still get the desired grade you want. Obviously, this is not to say that you're not allowed to make mistakes, but I'm just simply trying to highlight how this is a much bigger issue in university compared to high school. In addition, the content usually gets harder as the semester goes on, and since most exams are cumulative, they include a wide range of content, making it difficult to review and study for compared to midterms early on. From a motivation perspective, it also makes sense since most students feel motivated at the beginning of the semester, and that motivation decreases as the semester progresses. The way you can work around this is simply study and do your best on every single assignment given, and especially the ones in the beginning. This way, you'll have more room to make mistakes at the end of the semester when there's more and harder content, and still be able to achieve your desired grade. The fourth mistake on my list is setting goals based on numerical values or based on things that you do not have full control over. A lot of the times we tend to make our academic goals something like get 95% in this class or get an A on every single test. Now, for the most part, working hard equates to getting a good test grade. However, as I mentioned, you don't actually have full control over that number. For example, the grading of English papers and essays can be subjective, or the implementation of a very unique test format will not always be an accurate reflection of your efforts and work. And being fixated on that numerical number and not being able to reach it from time to time can discourage you from trying your best as the semester progresses. To ensure long-term success, it might be beneficial to make your goals about study habits that you have full control over, such as reviewing and previewing lecture material every day or studying for exams 1 week in advance. This is because you can continuously work on these habits despite the result of your exams. And over time, these are the habits that will help you achieve continuous academic success and a good work-life balance. The next mistake is not maintaining a proper routine and sleep schedule throughout the semester. For me, I think the way I start my mornings really contributes to the overall productivity of my day. When I start my mornings with enough time to stretch, plan, and sort out my admin work, I feel so much more prepared to tackle my to-dos compared to a day when I rush to wake up and go to my first class. This ties into the significance of having a set sleep schedule. During the school year, I try to get around 7 to 8 hours of sleep on the weekdays. This is usually enough for me to stay focused on my work during the day and not need to take a nap in the late afternoon. I feel like a lot of people overlook getting enough sleep and just replace the hours lost with a cup of coffee. It's really not as simple as that, because when you are sleep deprived, you struggle to stay focused, requiring more time to complete a single task and usually not to the greatest quality. Additionally, not to mention its long-term health risks. Now, to work towards establishing a proper routine, first I'd recommend writing down and displaying your routine at a place you see every day, and just realizing that you don't have to be perfect in the beginning and that it takes time to adapt and adjust to it. It is best to do this before the start of the school year, so when the first day of school rolls around, you're all ready to go. The next mistake on my list is scrolling through social media when you encounter difficult questions or assignments. I'd say this is a form of procrastination where you end up seeking instant satisfaction through Instagram posts, reels, or other short videos as compared to staying focused on the task at hand. Or it could also be compared to immediately looking at the answer of a question when you don't know how to do it or is unable to solve it correctly on the first try. In this way, you leave out the process of problem solving and being able to pinpoint the focus of the question, which results in the phenomenon that some people seem to be able to solve every single question they do on their own before a test, but not be able to answer many questions on the exam. My advice for this would be to keep your phone and unnecessary electronic devices out of reach, as well as having notes readily available to refer to as you go through the practice questions. This contributes to better focus, problem solving, and critical thinking abilities over time. And the last mistake that you should definitely avoid for this upcoming school year is not utilizing free online resources to enhance your learning. Now, myself included, I'm sure we all love to complain about bad teachers or not so great test formats. But once again, these are things we don't have control over, and while complaining may help alleviate the immediate stress or anger, it does not solve the core of the issue. And so with the availability of free apps and websites, we need to be the one responsible for our own learning and taking advantage of those resources. For me, if I'm confused about certain concepts, my go-to is honestly the YouTube search bar, and the most useful channel I've come across is definitely the Organic Chemistry Tutor. And honestly, in the process of using these resources, you're also better able to recognize which format of delivery and study strategies are most effective for yourself. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more of my content. And all of my social media and podcasts will be linked in the description box below. Let's not make these mistakes again in this upcoming school year, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!